We now recognize the gentlelady from California, Ms. DelBene, for 5 minutes.
From the great state of Washington, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, not California.
From the great state of Washington.
There you go, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Plowgian, thank you so much for being here today and for your time. You've highlighted the many reasons why the United States needs to stay engaged in the Pillar 2 negotiations, and given that the treatment of various tax credits has been a key part of the conversation, I wondered if you could talk specifically about a particular credit that I know has been strongly supported in a bipartisan fashion, is very supportive in our communities, which is the low-income housing tax credits, and kind of how Pillar 2 would treat LIHTC.
Absolutely. So this was an issue that when the model rules were released, we received input from Congress and from stakeholders about the need for additional guidance about economic development credits, and in particular the low-income housing tax credit. Certainly the administration has shared those concerns, and we have been able, through the negotiations, to secure administrative guidance that was released in February that provides that what's known as qualified flow-through tax benefits are protected under the Pillar 2 rules. And what that means is that tax credits that are used in tax equity partnerships, which are the common structure for investments in low-income housing tax credits, are protected. They're treated as qualified flow-through tax benefits. This was definitely something that is unique to the U.S., these structures. So it took a while to explain really to our counterparts what these were, why they were needed. But it's something that was very important to us, and the LIHTC is the largest and most effective federal program that we have that encourages development of affordable housing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Also, we saw the announcement last week that more than 130 countries have agreed to refrain from imposing digital services taxes for an additional year while work continues on the implementation of global tax reform. But Canada was one of 5 countries who did not agree to the moratorium extension. Mr. Plowgian, I wondered if you could describe the steps that U.S. Treasury and the administration are taking to address the Canadian government's continued interest in pursuing a digital services tax that targets U.S. companies and workers, given that this would have serious tax and trade implications, and again, for us going forward. And so I wondered if you could address that and what steps you might be taking.
Absolutely. This is a critical issue, as you stated, the outcome statement, 138 countries joined in extending the standstill on DSTs. Treasury is engaged with Canada at all levels, including Secretary Yellen, to dissuade them from implementing a discriminatory DST. The administration more broadly is engaged with Canada as well, through the interagency process, and other agencies have raised this issue with their Canadian counterparts. Implementation of a DST by Canada would seriously undermine the Pillar 1 negotiations. As you saw, actually, Canada was isolated on this issue. The other countries were not necessarily objecting to DST standstill. It was other issues that caused them not to join the outcome statement. But with respect to Canada, we are exploring all options, and we would like to work with Congress to address that issue.
Thank you. Thank you again for being with us today. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.